Welcome to the Perfect Place to Put a Practice podcast by Scott McDonald and drdemographics.com, the best source of demographic, psychographic, and marketing information for professionals.
Now, this is Scott McDonald of Dr. Demographics, and today I'm going to be talking to you about some suspicions that people have about healthcare in America. What I've kind of learned is interesting because I'm writing a book called Public Relations for Doctors. And I've done a lot of background reading, a lot of research, provided some new information, and I think it might be of value for you to know. So I'm just going to start off by telling you a few things that you probably already know. This episode is much different than I originally intended. I hope that what I've concluded will be helpful. The reason the content has changed is due to some significant intervening experiences that I've had. Now, in the last little while, I've spent in the hospital. I've been under the care of some medical professionals, as well as a great nursing staff and some therapists. I don't need to particularly go into what's happened to me. I will simply say that this has given me a lot of very helpful insights into American healthcare. Now, I've been in the hospital about a month, and the things I've learned while I was there and the time that it's given me to think about American healthcare has been quite, informative. During this period, a close relative of mine has been preparing for his applications for medical school. So we've been talking about the long and the short of practicing medicine in America and what he needs to know and some things that have been told him that aren't entirely true. Coincidentally, my daughter is scheduled to deliver grandchild number 9 this next weekend. On top of that, my sister has had a nursing school named in her honor, and she's been providing some long-term direction as to what nursing staff should know and how they should act. Yeah, healthcare has been on my mind a great deal recently. So what are my deep views on American healthcare? That's really what Suspicions this episode is all about. Is it up to snuff? Is our educational system up to the challenge? Is the delivery of American medicine and dentistry adequate right now? Well, in studying all these things, I've learned that there are some real crabs out there who have been thinking, no, it's terrible, it's awful, it won't last. And my experience has been a little different than that. In writing this book, PR for Doctors, in the course of my research, I have noted that the book is not called PR for Medicine. The field is too political and volatile to be practical. The opinion from journals, and I'm including Lancet out of Great Britain, which is overwhelmingly negative, is that there are some people who are very critical of American medicine. These journals are critical of the cost of education, of treatment, attitudes of patient care, research and innovations, selection of medical candidates, curriculum, and on and on. And boy, they sure hate American medicine and American doctors. I'm not just saying that's true of just the Lancet, but most journals, when I've looked up the topic, have been remarkably negative. And that goes for dentists as well. Now, I admit, being a non-doctor and an outsider, my opinions may be a little different than yours or other people's. I admit to being a non-doctor and an outsider. Now, I have a son, one of 3, who's getting his graduate degree in hospital administration. So the theories of medicine and healthcare have been on his mind as well. I have a daughter who has run a specialty practice as well. Met with salespeople, kind of gotten some things together from the doctor's point of view. And I can say with the confidence that I do not lack for input. A lot of people have got strong opinions on this topic. But in all my study, in and around the field, I have thought it might be worth sharing my limited understanding of healthcare in America, as my experiences have relevance to the topic. I do not mean to gore your ox. If there's something you feel strongly or inflexible about, I'm sure you do. But so do I. And a lot of that has been gained through hard experience. Now, when it comes to the best results, outcomes are the bottom line with healthcare. In other words, how are people doing as a result of what they've learned, done, built a career, and received treatment? No data collection will be without some fault, I will say right from the beginning. No data is perfect either. But I am going to provide a little bit. Now, you know this already. The data on life expectancy is usually reliable when a large enough sample is considered. Data on the next slide is hard to deny. So I'm going to talk about life expectancy for a minute as a matter of outcome when it comes to healthcare in America. Now, some people will immediately hate it, but my experiences and what this data suggests is not so bad. As you will note, Hawaii is the very top. Life expectancy in Hawaii is about 80.7% years, and it ranks number one in the nation. At the very bottom is Mississippi. Lots of reasons for that, but I just want to tell you what I've learned from this. As we consider outcomes, and life expectancy is one of the major ones, it is not being faked. But there are reasons people are being critical of it. Is there any reason to doubt efficacy? So I'm saying, all right, how do we look at healthcare outcomes? Governments may want to make claims that the U.S. healthcare is too expensive, and that is one of the things I keep hearing again and again. They say the cost of care and the cost of education are flawed. Medical training is not as good as it could be, and I will say there are always things that can do better. There are huge numbers of professionals who blame and the procedures are not available and free of charge to everyone, everywhere. I get that. Some people believe that all immigrants should come and get treatment for free in America. But given the outcomes, I will take American healthcare every single time. Now, I have lived in Central America, sampled the wonders of European care over time. I've lectured at some medical and dental facilities there. I have witnessed Asian care and expertise and ethics, and I am pleased with the kindness of Australian professionals. I cannot help longing for American dental care and medical care when I have not been able to get it. That is a fact. Is anyone going to deny that what we have to offer here is as good as just about anywhere can be? Now, granted, it's expensive in America, but I think there are all kinds of hidden costs in the National Health Service in Great Britain and in other healthcare environments. For the most part, I'm going to tell you a fact of life as I've gone through this research. The doctors, nurses, and staff who've helped treat me and others have been outstanding. And I've got to tell you, I have a certain amount of affection and respect for them from my own experience. I believe in paying our professionals a great deal to make sure that we have the best equipment, best pharmaceuticals anywhere. I like that diagnostic equipment can be easily found. I feel that I can find doctors who are competent and willing to help if I have to pay them a great deal of money, even if I have to pay them a great deal of money. No, American healthcare isn't cheap, but there are hidden costs everywhere. Now, does everybody know the truth? I mean, do they really know it? For a long time, I've been hearing about how wonderful China is and Asia, and their healthcare is outstanding. But the truth is, it pales in our outcome test. How good is the health results when we start getting outside of the United States? Granted, we pay a lot, but is it too much if the alternative is death? Now, perhaps money is a fair accusation. Still, if pharmaceuticals are ineffective, they're not profitable unless regulators mandate they must be. For whatever reason, they may not be. It may not be clear. I guess this is what I'm really saying. As I have looked at American procedures, medical treatments, dental treatments, and the other things they have done, I'm pretty impressed. Now, I know people in Ottawa are saying, oh, but we're free. We're also socialists, so availability of care is not very good. Heavy-handed government directives make me suspicious even when the doctors are cheap. We may have missed the news that India is growing much faster than China in medical development and public policy in healthcare availability. You see, by 2027, India is going to surpass China in just every measure of healthcare efficacy and even of cost. Now, I'm not saying that China is terrible, but I'm going to say a few facts about them. The regulations are not working. In other demographic news, there are facts like Idaho has lost its bragging rights as the fastest growing state in Florida. To do so, the state of Florida has opened and deregulated itself while inviting deregulation and investing. That may sound odd because in healthcare, we want to have everything regulated, right? But in fact, innovation only comes when people feel that they're going to receive a reward for having done so. It seems to be a pattern we're seeing in about half the country. Arizona, Texas, North Dakota, Virginia, Oklahoma are following this trend. I've seen very good things happen in Arkansas and Iowa that are looking at this path. What about Ohio? What happened to Illinois and Michigan that all of a sudden got much more regulation in healthcare and in their economy? See, everybody knows the truth that sometimes you have to let go in order to gain something by letting people profit by their work and by their intelligence. For the first time, California has lost a congressional seat. It appears the Golden State is not only losing population, it's losing population fast, and it is unlikely to recover. They are an economic mess, but they have very, very tight controls on many things. It is going to be a problem. You see, everyone can tell that things are going badly in California. That fishy smell is not caused by success, and you already know that. So as I look at the state of healthcare in America, I'm a little optimistic that we will continue to innovate if we give the profits to the people who are the innovators, the risk takers. And that's what I'm saying. I like so much about what I'm seeing in healthcare in America. And where are those illegal aliens going, by the way? Just a quick little demographic report. There are about 2 million illegal aliens, people who entered the country without documentation, without any kind of screening. Larger cities with high employment are their preferred destinations, and we know that the upper third of the country's population situation, places that are dense, are the ones who are getting them. They have been looking for jobs in food processing, and that's likely to continue. They are not making a tremendous amount of money, and certainly they're being set upon by other people. We see serious labor conflicts between Southeast Asian immigrants and Hispanic immigrants. Is that likely to change? Demographically, we don't think so. So what I'm saying is, even though it appears as though there's chaos going on in the country, freedom may be the only thing that can save us as we look at other places to develop, as we look for opportunities to feed our families and to grow. The fertility rate is determined by the number of live births per woman. It takes about 2.1 live births per woman to have a stable population. This year, the U.S. has 1.74, which is a very small increase of about 0.11%. I am concerned about our birth rate. I hope you know that. I also believe that you, as a healthcare professional, should look for those places that have the highest birth rate possible, regardless of income. Now, the disparity of the birth dearth will cause some serious conflicts within 10 years or so. The real points of contention will be the first felt in the country's origin. For example, Mexico has always assumed that there are endless supplies of cheap labor in Mexico. They don't want to pay anything for people. And that may be their privilege to believe that, but I believe it's going to be a problem. Births and immigration are emptying out the countries that are the sources of immigrants. El Salvador, a country I know and love very much, has moved to Los Angeles, along with Guatemala and Honduras. Is Central America going to recover? In fact, the many wars and conflicts and starvation are looking terrible. I believe, by the way, no industrial nations are steadily losing population as life expectancy steadily declines. Now, if we look at some of the big nations like Japan, Spain, and South Korea, about half of U.S. birth rate in Russia, they're likely to have some serious problems. And as an demographer, it concerns me. Median household is doing reasonably well in America. It's not as high as it was, and we are losing money. $70,789 is the median household income. That is for two adult earners. Is this going to be a problem in time? I believe it will. But for now, we're holding steady. Average income per doctor is $250,000 and $330,000 if you're a specialist. Do I think you are in a good profession? I do. Do I think it's going to get tight? In some places it definitely will, particularly the urban areas. And I'll have more to say on where to go in urban areas next week. Now let me ask the question, do American doctors get paid too much? International advisors always say far too much. They quote from studies that say they earn twice as much as doctors around the globe. But American doctors are required to follow strict protocols that doctors of other nations are not. Their training is much longer and more thorough. It costs more as well. But you see, we also demand of our doctors a great deal after they start practice, including CE. Doctors, you are well educated and you have a bright future. I hope you will continue within the profession that you're in. And from what I can tell of the demographic tables, you have a bright future. Medical training costs more and takes longer than it does in other parts of the world. It requires greater sacrifice. The vetting process for doctors in America is brutal. It's a fact of life. Medicine is being treated as a calling, not an occupation. Therefore, it requires of you something beyond just knowledge. It requires dedication. And that's why you're willing to do what you do 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. The rewards, I believe, are much greater, and I believe that's necessary for us to continue on with this great profession. Regulation is more objective in America, but it also seems tighter. I think that's okay. Outcomes nationwide are better than they have ever been. So we're seeing better delivery of health at a more reasonable cost. That's why I'm proud of you, and I'm grateful to get a chance to work with you. Um, the demand for the best candidates is higher because specifically you're paid more and are likely to get more money over time. I am so grateful for what you do. Now, the venues, by the way, of getting competent training are far more than in any other part of the world. You have better training as doctors than any place. And so I hope you will take advantage of increasing your knowledge and your ability to serve others. The means of checking competence are more consistent and objective than ever before, too. If you would like our help, call us at drdemographics.com or 800-849-0499, and we look forward to helping you find the perfect place to put a practice. Thank you very much.